What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tre The Barber.
Wait, why is this so hard?
Tre The Barber, and this is. Three, two, one.
Why do you want to do it? Okay, do it.
I don't know, you do it.
You do it.
All right, 3, 2, 1. What up, everybody? This is your boy Tre The Barber,
And this is Party Boi Rokk, the world famous.
and welcome to Shop Talk.
Hey, so we talking about aliens today.
I'm down to talk about aliens.
Alright, fuck it. There was some shit that went down.
There is some shit that went down.
And I don't know about it, but you were telling me in Miami.
In Miami, a week ago, apparently there's been reports of UFO sightings.
Oh, UFOs over Miami.
Hey, that's
4
it.
days ago. Damn, so there was a cluster of lights in the sky. A bunch of people saw that shit, got scared. So, what do you think? You think aliens are real?
Oh, I know aliens are real.
How do you, nigga, how do you know?
History, artifacts, or like cave people that like draw things on caves and stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of them draw spacecrafts or like something in the sky.
Yeah.
And I don't know, they're real.
Bro, let me swallow my drink, fuck. I was about to spit that shit out. I was fighting. He said aliens are real, just believe me. Just trust me.
And tune in next time.
So there's this time me and my bro was driving from Houston.
Yeah.
Like straight up like UFO shit. Where one time I was in a plane driving and there's this like
You were in a plane driving?
I was riding in a plane looking out the window.
Right.
And there's this like it was like a black ball that was like floating with us.
Yeah.
Like and the shit was kind of far off in the distance, but it had a trail of smoke. Like the shit was like crashing, right? But the shit wasn't crashing, it was just like going with us and like zigzagging and shit and going
Toying with y'all.
going. Yeah, and I was like watching this shit like, what the fuck is that? And I knew it wasn't an airplane, right? It was a black ball that was like on fire and it was just moving.
Damn.
So I saw that shit. Another time, me and my bro was driving from Austin to Houston. We was on I-10 just going. We just saw like some in the sky, and you know it was like kind of white, kind of silverish, and it was just chilling. It almost looked like a star at first, right?
Yeah.
And it was just chilling, and it was broad day, maybe around 3 p.m. And then that shit like went to the left, then it went to the right. Then it went up, then it went down.
That's
and it
crazy.
Was and it was just chilling in the sky. It wasn't even like it was going nowhere. It was just like chilling and then just moving around. And then another one pops up and like goes to it and comes down and like.
Most UFO sightings that we see on the internet all do that. They all just like, they're all little
Like
dots.
orbs and shit.
Yeah,
They're just dots moving around.
Yeah.
And like I saw the shit and I was like, well, that's definitely not a plane. It's not a helicopter. I don't know what it's a UFO. That's what the fuck it mean, right? You know, I didn't encounter aliens. I ain't never been abducted or no shit like that. But like, you know, I saw what a UFO was, so I believe in that because I saw it with my own eyes. But as far as like real aliens that are different species and shit, like
big heads and big ol' eyes.
I believe in that shit too.
Me too.
Because like, you look in the ocean, and there's some fucking crazy ass creatures in the ocean, like crazy creatures that could do like some weird shit.
Like, how do you explain the anglerfish, the one that's got like a light bulb on its head? Like,
yeah,
that's just
and
crazy.
they all look different. And like, there's just so much shit down there. You could do a Google search and see a bunch of animals in the ocean. Them shits are like aliens themselves. Like, if somebody said like the shit that's in the ocean, if somebody said, hey, that shit came from Saturn or Mars or Venus, I'd be like, yeah, I believe that, man. You feel me?
Yeah, no.
Like, I'd agree. Like, so I don't see why it's so far-fetched for people. I think the idea that, you know, where we're programmed to think that aliens don't exist, I think just comes from like religion, right? Where people are like, oh yeah, God only made humans and we're the only ones, and like that programming. And I think that's where it comes from, the idea that we're the only life in the planet is just some like biblical shit.
Well, even like the pyramids, they say they don't know how they made those monuments with the technology that they were capable of at that time.
And they still don't know. They still don't know how to build the pyramid. And then if you look at like the angles and the degrees of the pyramid, it's like the fucking calculation is like the speed of light and some crazy shit. So one thing I want to check and I want to know is what kind of aliens are out there. Right. What are the different types of aliens that people know about? So at first you were talking about
the Greys.
The Greys, the one with the So tell me about the Greys. Do you know much about them?
What I've read, they're like the ordinary alien that we're used to seeing.
Okay.
Like the big head, big eyes, small body.
Yo, how do you know this shit? You're a loser on the court. You do this shit.
I do this.
When no one's looking, you're on the internet like
alien.
The reason I'm like so crazy and like wild and I know a lot of shit. When I was in like 8th grade, I got kicked out of school. And I went to this alternative school.
Yeah.
Because I was like selling weed or some shit, so they expelled me. And I went to this alternative school and I met this Native American lady, right? She was like my tutor. And I went to school for like 2 hours a day. Nigga, we like did homework, ate snacks, played games, and then went home and shit. And like this chick, she was like crazy. She was like loopy. Like as an adult now, I look back and I'm like, damn, that bitch was crazy. But when I was a kid, I'm like, oh, this is my teacher. You feel me? And like instead of doing the schoolwork, all she did was talk about like conspiracies and shit. And I'm an 8th grade kid, so I'm just a normal, regular kid. And this woman just comes into my life and just warps my fucking brain, right?
Damn.
So she taught me about all the aliens. She taught me about like time travel. Like, you know David Icke or some shit? David Icke, he's like this white dude who like wrote all these books, and he talks about like the reptilian government, like the people in government are really like aliens who are reptilians from a different dimension.
Damn.
You feel me? They're not, and that's the thing, like people say aliens are creatures from a different planet, but what he's saying is they're from Earth. They're just in a different dimension. They're like 5th dimension, 6th-dimensional beings, and then they come into our dimension to kind of, influence us and fuck with us.
Right.
And some are hostile, but then there's like this intergalactic coalition of different aliens and different races out there.
Like Star Wars?
Yeah, on some shit. Who want to see like mankind do well and progress and evolve to the next dimension.
Yeah.
But right now we're in this space where we're all just like super egotistical, super fucked up, to where they don't think we're ready to evolve and to join the intergalactic whatever. But then there's this one like evil ass alien race that's like trying to keep us down and trying to keep us fucked up. I think it was like the Draconians or some shit, or like, and they're just like, they're an alien species who's like, they're negative and they feed off of fear, and they're like 5th dimensional.
Damn, they're like demons.
Yeah, basically, literally. And but his comes from a non-religious perspective, right? And something that's very real. In his eyes. So yeah, she taught me all about that shit. Like I know there's like Project Rainbow, which was like the Philadelphia experiment, where there's like a bunch of niggas in a shit in the military or whatever in like the 1940s, and like some shit where they were testing time travel or whatever, where you gotta like take 2 45-degree angles at the speed of light with some ultraviolet light, some crazy shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that shit.
Okay. But this woman like laced me up on game and taught me a whole bunch of shit. And like I was scared for a while.
I'm scared now.
I'm scared now. Shit, when I was with my homies and would smoke weed,
you'd be freaking out.
It was not the same. They were sitting there thinking like, oh, I wonder if this girl likes me. And I'm sitting there like, who the fuck are we? Where did we come from? Where are we going? I honestly believe in aliens at this point.
I mean, even when they do the scientific like perspective of like the grain of salt being one galaxy, like the Milky Way galaxy, and then the rest of the body of salt being like the rest of the universe and the rest of the galaxies. It's like fuck. It's like, bro, we can't be that one grain of salt with life. Like,
and that's the thing. Like motherfuckers will sit there and be like, oh, the mathematical probability that there's life in other places is so slim that we're the only. It's like, nigga, how do you know?
Right.
How do you know?
How do you know that your math checks out?
You have to have all the data in the universe, and you're coming from an incomplete perspective, right? Like, if you go to other planets and other places, like they may have life that like transcends what we know, right? Like for example, you look at like chameleons, right?
Yeah.
That shit's able to change its fucking skin.
Yeah, it can grow limbs back and shit.
Yeah, like it's able to do shit that you couldn't even fathom. Like a chameleon can change its skin color, red, green, blue, whatever. Like you don't even have the fucking senses to perceive what that feels like. Like how do you know, like, hey, if I want to turn my skin red, like what would that feel like? Like how could I make that happen? Like we have creatures that have different like sonar, like bats with sonar and shit. Like they're able to do shit that we can't even fathom. And them motherfuckers are right here with us. So imagine like other life on other planets, the kind of shit that they're able to do, the level of consciousness that they have. We just have 5 senses. Right. Sight, smell, hearing, taste, touch.
And poop.
Why are you like this? Yeah, man. So in conclusion, I believe in that shit.
I was reading that they thought they got so far with the investigation and like data on Mars. They're questioning evidence of Mars having water on previous years, or if it's like producing water.
Oh shit!
So they don't know if it's like past tense or like it's
current.
coming. Yeah.
And if it's current, that's a whole different
it's a whole different ball game. So
let me ask you something. If you ever got abducted by aliens, what would you do?
I mean, what could you do? I mean, you see there's real stories of people actually seeing a light and being lifted.
Beamed up and shit.
Yeah, and it's just like, you don't know if they're crazy or you don't know if they're actually telling you the truth.
Because they say like they abduct people and they like anal probe them. Would you be down with that?
Would I?
What's the alien number? Take a swing at that real quick. I mean,
but think about it. Even if we do get abducted, there's like nothing you can do.
Nothing you can do. You just gotta take it.
Yeah. show them what us humans can take.
Handle that for mankind. I don't know what I was gonna say. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Your iPhone was hacked after visiting an adult website and 39 viruses were found.
39?
That's nothing.
That's it?
That's it? Is this shit recorded?
Yeah,
we're just doing dumb shit.
We are.
Looking at our emojis.
Our podcast is pretty dope.
I like this shit, bro.
First of all, they make the Bible, they put it in a language you can't understand.
Facts.
They say thy and thee with 3 E's and then it's all out of order. Like you gotta
and like 30 people wrote it.
Like why would they do that?
Like mad people wrote that shit.
You know what I actually heard? I heard if you want to read the Bible, buy a kid's version because it's like simplified.
Which is another way of saying lies. Hey, look, the thing about the Bible though, like what I tell people, and this is like some evil shit, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Say it.
No one wants me to say this.
Drop a gem. No
one wants me to bring this up. Check this out. Any pastor can challenge me on this shit.
Oh shit.
Anybody. Go back to Genesis, right, in the Bible, where God and the devil were telling Adam and Eve not to eat the apple because in the day that you eat it, your eyes are... Well, God said the day you eat it is the day you're going to die, right? The devil comes in and he's like, nah, you're not going to die. The day you eat that shit, your eyes are going to be open and you're going to be like gods, knowing the difference between good and evil. That's what the devil said.
Damn.
So Eve, she goes, snatches the apple, eats that bitch, tells Adam, hey, come here, come taste this. They ate that, he was like, what did you niggas do? They were like, you know.
Nothing? They throw the apple, nothing?
No, but when they were done, bro, like the crazy shit is, when they were done, not only did they not die, but God confirmed everything the devil said, right? They didn't die in that day, and he was like, behold, their eyes are open, and they're like one of us, knowing the difference between good and evil.
Damn.
So everything the devil said was actually the truth, and the person who actually lied in that exchange was God.
Dang.
Nationals will rationalize it, and they're gonna be like, oh, they introduced death into the world, and before they were more. Motherfucker, you don't know that shit. The book doesn't say that. You're just adding to the shit. You're just making up your own oh, the spiritual. Nah, shut up. The book doesn't say none of that shit. You dig? It doesn't tell you where other people came from. It doesn't tell you about Adam and Eve's daughters or where women came from for them to have kids. It doesn't say none of that shit. So anything you say outside of what's in the book is just speculation, and you're just creating your own shit. You feel me? But the fact is, nigga, God lied. He lied. And the devil was the one who told the truth. What if the people who wrote the Bible switched the names?
Damn.
What if the person you call God is actually the devil, and the person you call the devil is actually God?
It could be.
If you switch it up, it starts making more sense. Devil was trying to give people freedom and let them have free will. And look at it. Everybody's trying to follow God and the Bible and all that shit. And what do we have all through the world? Fighting, discrimination, violence. Everybody's trying to follow the Bible. They say, well, you follow Jesus who turns the other cheek and is good and all that shit. But the very people who teach you that shit are fucking you over.
Damn.
Like the very people who give you
that
shit.
You're going hard right now.
I'm telling you, they're taking your money.
No, this is scarier than aliens.
I just wanted to say that one thing, bro. Like, I read this one part in the Bible, and it fucked with me, cause like I was like really into this shit. I was on the Jesus juice for like years, and then I read this one thing in the Bible that made me say, I'm gonna put this away.
Damn, what was it?
It was this verse where it was talking about how like God moved, I think like King David, to count the people, and because he did that, he like got punished or some shit. And then the same account, like the same incident, in another part in the Bible, it said the devil did it. So one part of the Bible said God moved King David to number Israel, and he sinned because of it. And then in another part of the Bible, the same exact incident, it said the devil moved him to do it. So one part said God did it, another part said the devil did it, and that made me feel either these two niggas are the same nigga or they're working together.
Yeah.
But either way you look at it, the Bible accounts for both God and the devil moving King David to number the people. And when I read that shit, the only conclusion I could logically come to is that either God and the devil are the same person or they're working together.
Damn.
And when I read that shit, it just kind of woke me up and was like, nigga, all this shit they telling us in this book about like...
Well, think about the people of power in today's world and how...
They play both roles. That's what I'm saying.
They live evil lives. Like, look at it's all coming out right now. Like Pizzagate and
all the Hollywood people, the government people, like they're all just doing whatever the fuck they want, like the devil. But then they come talk to us in our face, like, oh, you gotta follow the law. You gotta be righteous. You gotta be a law-abiding citizen. You gotta be a fucking American patriot. You gotta be all this good shit. But then when you actually look into their lives, you find out they're evil, just like the devil. Like Christopher Columbus, he discovered America, and he's this dope motherfucker. But then when you actually look at his life, he was a fucking criminal who was killing people. And like, I done seen this shit so much, just reading history books and reading about all these heroes and all this shit. And I'm like, yo, you niggas...
It's like you're praising the evil.
Yeah, and like, you start seeing through the bullshit. Like, even police officers and all this racism shit that's going on. It's like,
we were low-key taught to praise the evil.
Yeah.
Damn. All throughout. That's crazy. Dog, this is all so clear right now. And it might be because of that shit.
For real. When I was doing good shit, nigga, I was struggling.
Dog, when you follow rules and when you follow what people tell you to do, nothing works out for you.
You know how you go to sleep and you have a dream and you just like enter this fucking world, and when you're in that shit, you completely forget about this life.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that shit?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like in your dream.
Like
sometimes you'll wake up. My bad.
No, you're good.
Like, so you wake up, you don't remember who the fuck you are, and like in your dream, you're just like this new fucking person, new fucking perspective.
You got all kinds of shit that you don't have in the real world.
Yeah, you're fully engaged in it. You're fully paying attention to it. You're like doing whatever the fuck you're doing. You care about it. Yeah, you're just
winning fights that you wouldn't win in real life.
Punching like a fucking pillow.
Yeah.
Yo, and the thing about it is like, that's what the fuck this world is, right? Like one day I woke up and I'm like, oh, I'm in this family and I got these brothers and sisters and I'm black. You feel me? And just like, I just woke up and was like, oh. And like, honestly, I think what's going to happen, like, is like, nigga, we're going to die. And then we're just going to wake up as something else, someone else, whether it's a rabbit, a dog, whatever the fuck. Even when you wake up as a rabbit, you're not going to like remember what the fuck you were before. Damn. You're not going to care. You're just going to start a brand new existence with a brand new perspective. And you're just going to live that shit.
So you think there's no heaven?
I don't think there's a heaven. I don't think there's a hell. I think what we're in right now
is hell.
Yo, what we're in right now is the end all be all. Like this is it. I think it's just life and perspective. Like when you see the pyramid and the all seeing eye, that all seeing eye is like the mind's eye, right?
Right.
It's the third eye. When you close your eyes, you can still see shit. That's the third eye. When you think, when you daydream, when you fucking actually dream, right? That's all happening in the mind's eye. And I think all life has a mind's eye. So when you see the pyramid on the dollar with the eye at the top of the pyramid, that's what they're referring to, is the mind's eye. And regardless what existence you have, regardless what kind of creature you are, regardless where you live, at what point in time, you're always going to be that orb of perception. And I think just like when you go into a dream, you're somewhere else doing some other shit, but you're just perceiving this like experience. And I think when we die, we're gonna shift from being in this body to being in another body. But whatever we move into that has life, it's gonna have its own mind's eye. So I don't think there's a heaven. I don't think that's a hell. I think when you die,
you just become some other shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
You just shift into a different reality. And
so what do you think? What do you think other dimensions and parallel universes mean? What do you think that like?
I understand what motherfuckers are trying to say or do when they talk about parallel universes and other dimensions, but honestly, I don't believe in any of them. And this is coming from someone who.
You think it just could be like a dream state? Because people do like research and like actual written like documents and statements and like of like experiences and shit.
I don't think the universe needs other dimensions or parallel universes. And again, when I say this, I've spent a lot of time thinking about this stuff. You know, I got a degree in computer science. I was low key a math major who did computer science because I was better in math than I was in computer science.
Right.
But when I look at the numbers, when I look at binary and computer code and chemistry, and I just look at all that physics and I look at all that shit and I put it together, I don't think there's a necessity for parallel universes or multi-dimensions. I think that's just some imagination shit that humans come up with. Because think about it, right? This is the best way I can explain it. Think about it. Motherfuckers is like, oh, different dimension, parallel universe where you exist as someone else in a different type of reality, right? But think about a fucking cockroach and its perspective and how it sees the world.
Right.
Right? Or think about your cells. When your cells are fucking fighting viruses.
Because they're alive.
They're alive.
Yeah.
And think about the perspective of that cell. And it's living its whole life inside your body thinking that your body is the world.
Right.
And your body is its universe. But then you go to a higher granularity and you got us sitting in some fucking planet which is probably a larger organism.
Right.
This planet is probably alive. It's probably an animal.
Could be a tiny cell.
And we could be tiny cells living in this fucking shit. And then this planet itself could be a tiny cell in a bigger organism, right? It's all just granularity. Like, and that's what I'm saying. You don't need parallel universes. You just need different perspectives, right? There's the fucking, there's like different animals out there that see in like 16 different colors, right? Like we only see 7. But there's animals out there that see like 32 different fucking colors. And
Dang,
shit.
we only
like,
see 7 colors?
Yeah, and then the blends of them all in between and shit, right? The composition of them all. But you feel me? Other creatures see 32 different colors. We can't even fucking fathom what that's like. You feel me? So I don't think we need parallel universes. You just need different perspectives. And all the different creatures and animals and organisms and cells and atoms all have their own
Perspective, yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's the parallel universe. I think what we live in is a inverted cube, right? The universe to me is an inverted cube, which is an endless void. And then in that endless void, which is space, you have matter, which is something that is also divine, right? It's a reflection of space. It's something being created out of nothing, but there was no creation point. It's always been here and it'll never go away.
Yeah.
So you just have space, which is infinite, endless, and has always been here.
Always growing.
Then always, there's no end. It's infinite.
Right.
So there is no growing, there is no shrinking. It's just
There is no growing. it just is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. It just is.
Yeah.
Space is just here, right?
Yeah.
It's just a void. It's like the zero on the number scale. And then you got the matter that lives within the space,
Right.
which is the molecules, the atoms,
All the shit.
the thing, the something, right? There's no word for it. It just exists.
Love.
Damn, now you're getting deep. Now you're getting whole combo on that shit just by itself.
Yeah.
But the matter that's in space has always been here and will never end.
Yeah.
So I look at it as containers and values, space and matter, right? The void and the thing. And these two things are completely opposites, but they dwell together. And together, it's the divine. We've existed for a very long time. I think we wanted to have the kind of reality and experience where we forgot in between lives so that life wouldn't start feeling like a fucking prison.
Right.
And that we would have entertainment forever. Because the only way you could have eternal entertainment is if you throw in some forgetfulness.
Right.
Think about somebody holding something against you forever.
Yeah.
Right? That will be a burden and a shackle forever. Right? So you got to forget that shit.
Right.
And the ultimate way of forgetting something is to completely forget the life itself.
Right.
But then because you go through that forgetfulness, because you go through that death, it makes the life that much more special.
Right.
It's like when you play a video game and your character is invincible.
Right.
Doesn't that shit get boring?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you could kill everything.
Like Grand Theft Auto. You
Yeah,
know? You
once-
eventually get 5 stars to die. To get wasted.
Yeah, because you're just like, fuck,
Yeah.
I'm invincible. I can do anything. That's our life. We're just doing what we do, man. We just this is who I am. This is who he is. We're just homies. Like we just talk about shit. We get drunk,
We just do that.
and we've been doing it for years, and we're just gonna continue. And we're just inviting the world to that shit. And so I think we're done.
Yeah. We need like an outro.
Do we sing?
It's
Hey,
deep.
that's dope.
deep.
It's deep and dope.
It is deep and dope.
Hey,
Let's use that. Bye.
get out of here. Don't come back. I love you.
That whole first 30 minutes, we could low-key scratch. We low-key just had a conversation.